Ready? All right. This is Harvard Hollis Barnhart. And I want to throw this up just so you guys can get a hold of myself or Wayne Root. I answer all emails at jbplays, LV7 or LV6 at gmail.com. And this is Harvard and Zach. So let's get going to the Chiefs and the Chargers game, which is always a very intensive matchup between these two teams. And I know Zach has been doing fantastic, but a little conservative coming off the number of plays while he checks out week 1 and 2. And I believe he's going to get really starting to fire up this week and then all through October, November, as he's seen a lot of the teams go. Me, I fire right from the start because I just that's my style. I think they miss the numbers once in a while. But let's get on this Chiefs-Charger game. Last week, I'll tell you right now, I did have Philadelphia plus the points. I believe I got 5.5 or so. They were in control of the game, the entire game. They were leading. I think it was 20-13, and then 20-20, and then 27-20. And it was a great comeback by the Chiefs. But let's move on against that. Last year, the Chargers, they were just 1-8. Now that in itself is a stat that you might want, but let's look at it. Decided by 7 points or less. So they were 1-8 decided by. So they keep it close. They haven't figured out how to win those close games, but their first 2 losses this year, they've been very close by 3 points and by 2 points. The Chiefs, they've been a little surprised going on. They got off to that big start at New England, and then they had that game last week with the very difficult Eagles team. The Chiefs may be the better team here, but the Chargers, I think they finally get their first win of the year. I think it's going to be a close game. Rivers, he has a passing game that can do damage against the secondary of the Chiefs, and the Los Angeles defense looks a lot stronger than it was a year ago. I look for LA to get the win in this in the column there. Phillip Rivers, he's had some good games. He's hit 31 of 39 passes for 331 yards last week. He had a touchdown, and he's glad to have Keenan Allen back. So write me down for San Diego and the points, and we'll move on to see what Zach has to say on this game.
Well, this one's definitely not a strong opinion, but I would lean the same thing for you that you just said, Hollis, with the LA Chargers. Division game here. And they do play well in these division games, whether it's on the road or at home, as you mentioned. Tight games, whether it's a loss or a win. And they had the recipe to success against Miami. I'm not sure why they couldn't close that out. Their offense just wasn't up to par. And defensively, they just gave up a couple cheap field goals to Jay Cutler. So that game swayed there. And plus their kicker obviously has missed 2 game-winning field goals. How are they going to address that if that situation arises again this week against Kansas City? You have to make those field goals. Every point is vital, whether it's a extra point after a touchdown or obviously a field goal to tie or give your team more points. He has to make those field goals. I'm not sure if they made a change yet or if they're going to give him one more week. With Kansas City, obviously phenomenal start. I was with you there, Hollis, with Philadelphia, and you could kind of sense that late third touchdown by Kareem Hunt just swayed the game. He ran up the middle on a 3rd and 6 or something like that for 60 yards. It gave Kansas City that 17-13 lead. And then what do you know? Carson Wentz threw a pick, and that flipped that one pretty quick there in the 4th quarter. So that's the difference with Kansas City. They protect the football. When are we going to see that issue arise with Alex Smith fumbling the ball or throwing an interception? I'm not sure. But right now, they're really leaning on that rookie running back. And is this another Ezekiel Elliott case as last year where a team can lean on that rookie running back and the odds makers don't shift the line enough? It possibly could be, but I still don't trust Alex Smith. He's back in California where he started his career with San Francisco, maybe a little bit further south, but he's still there. And I think those thoughts will be in his head.
What do you think about the lack of fan support for the Chargers? They had less than 25,000 people last week against Miami, and they said probably 65% of the people in the stadium were Miami fans anyway.
Well, I guess if you're looking at it from an LA base, I'm looking at it from a Vegas base. That concerns me as a Las Vegas resident on how the Raiders are going to adjust to here. I mean, the NFL has made some questionable moves obviously, with the way they've handled player suspensions and these team moves, kind of look like they're the same thing. So it's going to take a while. I really don't remember how LA supported the market in the mid 90s, but from what I heard, it was strong. Maybe the college teams took over a little bit, and it's going to take, I think it's just going to take a winning franchise or a winning product on the field for that to sway a little bit. But once you get a winning team in a brand like the NFL, it'll flip real quick.
Well, last week, the USC game, they drew more fans than the Rams Chargers combined. And
No, I believe that.
that doesn't say well. And if you go on StubHub, you can get Rams tickets for $6 and I believe $7 for the Chargers games. Now, they did jack up the price twice as much for the Charger games because they thought supply and demand, they only have 25,000 seats or so they jacked up the prices twice as much. But you're right. We'll see how that plays out. And one other tip I wanted to give, somebody asked me the other day, why does it make a difference if it's on AstroTurf or grass? I'm going to give you a good example for a game coming up this week where the Pittsburgh Steelers are going into play in Chicago, Soldier Field. Let me tell you something. It's on grass, and they haven't mowed that grass. They want to slow down that running game of Pittsburgh. So instead of it being on like that slick AstroTurf where you can make all those cuts and it's a speed field, they've got it growing up to 3 to 4 inches. So that should slow that team down. That's why you want to know if it's on grass and how they do it. In fact, in baseball, I remember back in the 60s, when Maury Wills, they were trying to slow him down, they used to put wet sand off of first base so he couldn't get that jump trying to steal second base. So home teams do have a lot of say on what they do to prepare for a game, but that's why you look at grass versus AstroTurf or something like that. So anyway, here's if you need to get a hold of any type of question for me or Wayne Root, just go ahead and send your comments or questions to jbplayslv6@gmail.com. And if you got anything else, Zach, you can close us out tonight.
No, that's all I have, House. Good shows. It's early in the season, so we're not too worried about where we're going to be here in a couple of weeks. We know we're going to have that good season going as usual, and we'll be back next week.